and today we're going to talk about some alternatives to the banking system, the world of finance that we've talked about before. But I think what we have in the Akhuwat model is very intriguing as we think about what now after the economic, I think, pandemic and the systems correction that we're seeing today. So I'm going to turn it over to Anika to introduce our next special guest.
Welcome, Dr. Saqib. Dr. Saqib is joining us from Lahore, Pakistan. And I have the honor of his co-author for the book we wrote together a year ago, Integral Finance, Akhuwat, a case study of solidarity economy. It is such a distinguished and a phenomenal model, as I call it. We will be talking about this, but let me firstly tell you what Akhuwat means. Akhuwat means brotherhood in Urdu and Arabic. So Dr. Saqib will be telling us more so about the philosophy behind this model, because the model is coming from the Islamic philosophy of Mu'akhad and Qard-e-Hasan. It's world's largest Qard-e-Hasan organization or institution, I would say. And Qard-e-Hasan means benevolent loan, interest-free and benevolent loan, a beautiful loan that you give to others. Dr. Saqib will explain where the idea came from. I know the story, many also know the story, but I would particularly like you to talk about the Mu'akhad concept and what does that mean and why was it necessary for you to bring an Islamic or spiritual philosophy into a financial model of debt-free economy, because our friend Mark here has been speaking about debt slavery for 15 years. So he is overjoyed that there is one system that exists in the world. So over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, and thank you very much, Anika, for the very kind words and introduction. I'm extremely happy and privileged to talk to both of you who have their hearts on the right side, who have the compassion and who really want to make a change in the current financial system and supporting the poor to stand on their own feet. So I'm extremely honored to be with you. I don't know how to start it, but let me say that the social, political, and financial system where we are all living is not, supportive to the poor people. If poor people, financial access is extremely important. Without financial access, you can't do anything, entrepreneurial, or you can't do a business or things like that. So we see that an inclusive society is a society where there is financial inclusion, social inclusion, political inclusion, and all those things. But while we claim that financial inclusion is extremely important, we exclude the poor. How? If all these banking institutions, all these financial institutions, they are only to serve the rich, and they're only enriching the rich people. For example, if somebody needs a loan from a bank, he will have to show some collateral. He will have to show something to mortgage, and then he can get money as much as he likes. But what about the poor? We discriminate. They don't have anything to put as a collateral for the money which they are seeking, so they are excluded from the financial institutions. I will only talk about Pakistan. More than 80% people who want to start a business, who want to do something, but they don't have the access to the financial system, financial institutions, because they lack collateral. Number one. Number two, to overcome this situation, there is introduction of microfinance. Microfinance institutions came into existence. Then microfinance banks, ultimately took over all those institutions. And you will be surprised to know, I'm sure you are not surprised, but maybe few of your listeners, that the microfinance banks and microfinance institutions usually charge interest rate of 30%, 40%, 50%, or even more than that. So what kind of institutional arrangement, what kind of financial system we have created where a rich man has to, if he has to buy a Mercedes car, I usually give this example, he gets a loan at a 7%, 8%, 10%, or 12%, and a poor man who has to earn his or her livelihood, he gets loan at a rate of 30% and 40%. So this is the basic question, that while we claim that we want to have a, elimination of poverty, we want to have a better, world for everybody, and we want to have an inclusive society, and we have created a system where 70-80% population of the world is excluded. They have been, not able to find the financial access. So this is one thing. Now, what is the answer? Identifying a problem is not enough. We must try to find the answer. The answer is not that we start giving doles and charity to the poor people. That's absolutely, not recommended, because somebody who has a self-respect will not ask for the doles for all times. So when we study your own history, your tradition, your cultural pursuits, you see, then you are bound to find answers to many of your issues and problems. Life is not that complicated, and finding solutions is not a very, very, difficult thing. This is just how we look around, how we see people. Life is, for me, life is very simple. We deliberately making it so complicated that the poor people are, suffocating in this environment. So when we looked around, that what is the solution? Then we found a solution which was right in front of me from the early childhood, and that is Qard-e-Hasan. What is Qard-e-Hasan? If your friend asks $100 from you, Mark, you will give him that $100, and you will not take $110 from him. You will get $100 when he is, able to pay you. This is benevolent loan, and you while during your school days, university days, you might have experienced giving such loans to your friends, to your sister, to your brother, to your cousin, so many people. So this is a system of giving loan and getting it back, and this is creating some kind of a brotherly relationship, and we feel that we are supporting somebody if he is in need. So we thought that why not to institutionalize this concept of Qard-e-Hasan. So if I can give loan and get it back, so if we have to make a system where thousands of such people who need these loans, and we consider them as our brothers and sisters, we can, create a system where we can give these loans to those people and get it back. So that was the basic idea. Institutionalize. Well, we didn't do anything new. As I said, life, the most complicated questions, the answers can be found around you. So this practice of Qard-e-Hasan is, ages old, and it is prevalent in every society. We didn't discover something new. We just institutionalized this individual practice of benevolent loan, and then we created a model that how would we identify the poor people, how would we appraise them, how would we assess their abilities and potential, how will we deliver the loan, how will we recover the loan. So then we introduced technology, then we introduced many other things, but at the same time we kept the compassion, within the whole system. You cannot end poverty by doing business with the poor. You will have to engage with the poor. You will have to establish a bond of solidarity and love. If you are really interested to eradicate or alleviate poverty from the face of the earth, you cannot do it through business. You cannot do it through market economy. You cannot do it through capitalistic pursuits. You will have neither you can eliminate poverty just by giving charity, just by making people beggars. So the truth lies in between. You will have to establish a bond of love, care, and spirit of giving, compassion, and we call it solidarity with the poor people. So for that, then we discovered that how should we work, because giving a loan to your brother or a friend is a simple affair. You need not to even, write it down. You just remember. So then we, tried to create a pool of money from the well-to-do people. We told them that if you are really interested in helping the poor, don't make them beggars. So give us money, and we will be, becoming sort of a bridge between you and the poor people. We will be an instrument where this money which you have given to help somebody will be transferred to that person, and then we will, make that, we will ensure that he uses that money for the right purpose, and then he gives it back. So we will be guiding the person, we will be building his capacity, we will be, seeing whether he is trustworthy, credit worthy, so what kind of social capital he or she has within the society. So some kind of a due diligence and, the assessment and the appraisal. So this is, in a simple words, that we are custodian of a pool of money which has been generated by the rich people, by the people who really interested in helping the poor. And then we transfer that money to budding entrepreneurs, to the poor people who have, good ideas, but they don't have the financial means to actualize those ideas in reality. We, for example, in Pakistan have around 200 small businesses which could be started with, small sum of $100 to $1,000. So if we are able to give this amount of money to the person who has the idea, who has the requisite ability, who has the skills, who knows the market, who knows how to, he's smart enough to do, he is he might be illiterate, but he is very intelligent. He knows how market works. So we need not to, put something extraordinarily, trainings and things like that.
Or
So,
send them to business schools.
yes, and I can introduce you to hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs in Pakistan who are millionaires, and they never have gone to any business school.
I've met them myself.
Getting business education, certainly it refines something, but there is some innate qualities, some desire to move ahead, something God-gifted abilities are also there, which are sharpened because of your interaction within the market, because of your meeting similar kind of people. So people are intelligent, people are smart, they know how to do a business and what kind of a business they would like to start. Only difficulty is that they cannot access finances. Number one, the banks don't give them loan because bank thinks that they are not trustworthy, they are not credit worthy, they don't have the collateral, and the money which would be given to them will not come back. So there is a element of distrust. And on the other side, the microfinance system is designed in a way that it is so expensive that it is absolutely unfair to charge 30% or 40%. So in between lies the institutions, the philosophy which we are propagating, that neither should be, the poor should be given at the hands of market economy and the capitalism, and nor begging. They shouldn't be begging. So let's create an environment where we offer friendship to them. We offer them that we are here to embrace you, and we are here to hold your hand. This is the paltry sum which we can give to you, and you can build your own empire out of it. I was just listening to news from France day before yesterday, that they have reduced the markups and the interest rates, and they are now offering loans at 0%.
That's right.
Right? So that proves our point that in a crisis situation, when the economy is not moving, when the poor people are at a threat, the whole economy is at a threat. So there is need for this kind of benevolent lending. So why not we do it as a philosophy, as a practice, as a norm, that in countries which are suffering from underdevelopment and this poverty and many things. So that means that we were justified when we started this program, because in countries like Pakistan, there is every moment, there is an ongoing kind of an economic emergency. So if now emergency situation has forced the French to offer loans at 0%, then that kind of economic emergency was existent in Pakistan, in India, in South Asia, in Africa. So this proves that the idea which we had originally in our mind, so that is correct. So this is the whole philosophy behind it. It has some religious connotations as well, because any religion, I'm not talking only about Muslims.
That's right.
Christianity, Judaism, and Hinduism, all those, their books, their divine guidance, these religions. So taking interest is prohibited.
Yes. Period.
So we are not. That's it.
Period.
So the point is that we see that to really build a society, an equitable society where everybody has an opportunity to move ahead in life. You will have to provide, some kind of financial access, and if that financial access is without the ulterior motives, this is with the motive of is helping somebody to stand on his or her own feet, then we have to redesign the whole financial system. While I am extremely disappointed and sad to see all this tragedy of coronavirus, but at the same time I was seeing that that is reminding us the lesson of compassion and building an economy which is based on compassion, which is based on reciprocity, which is based on building somebody else, which is not depriving the poor people from the fruits of their labor. So this, I think, now I don't know what kind of the world will be created out of this virus, out of this whole disease, but I'm sure this is sufficient enough to remind us of the simplicity of life, of the importance of love and compassion, of the importance of giving somebody who is in need and extending the hand of love and friendship. That's what I wanted to say initially. Now we can talk to your questions, and if you allow me, I can tell you that we started this whole program with $100, and currently more than $900 million we have provided loans, and the truthfulness of the whole effort is evident, that we have served more than 3 million families, and currently around 1 million people are our active borrowers, and we have been operating since last 20 years around, and the recovery percentage which we are managing is alhamdulillah, thanks God, is 99.9%. Giving loan of $900 million to 3 million people and getting recovery at a rate of 99%. That's volumes about the power of the idea, about the success of the idea, about the sustainability of the idea. Because the financial gurus, the conventional financial wisdom says that this is not a sustainable model. So, but what else is sustainability? Starting with the $100 and reaching $900 million and served more than 3 million people, and then you have offices throughout Pakistan and 400 cities, and it's maintaining this excellent recovery rate. So, one has now to think that market is not the answer. Compassion is the answer. Sharing is the answer. Beautiful. Giving is the answer. Helping somebody to stand on his own feet is the answer. And sustainability doesn't mean earning profit from the poor. Sustainability means entering into bond of solidarity and friendship with the poor people. So I think this coronavirus will help us redefine economy, redefine sustainability, redefine the financial instruments, redefine the whole financial, inclusive system, which we, if we are interested in making this world a happy place to live in. But if you would like to, just few families or few groups or few corporates, if you would like to give the whole world within their hands, then obviously, these things cannot be applicable. So if you want to give a fair chance to everybody to move ahead in his or her life, then we have to ensure the financial inclusion. And the one of the best ways for financial inclusion is giving loans without interest, only on the basis of love and solidarity.
Mark,
Wow.
up to you.
Thank you, Amjad. That was beautiful. And I know the three of us agree completely with each other on this. And our study of money, I mean, it's fascinating that you remind us of what we learned as children. We somehow forgot we were financially illiterate as adults. I mean, the beautiful thing is we see in Canada, for example, money injected straight into your bank account. And I said, so isn't that amazing how magical suddenly the money just appears, can be created when we're in an economic emergency. So what does that tell us about the money system? To me, I have the metaphor, maybe Lao Tzu said, money must be like water. It must flow. It must, and what you've demonstrated with Akhuwat, from $100 to 900 million, 99 point whatever percent success rate, meaning no loan losses, no foreclosure, and the beauty for me is that you've shown us, as we are doing on the show, is different models, different examples in which compassion and love can be the foundation of banking, that the creation of money is simply something out of our imagination from the macro level. There's no nation on earth right now should be without money. That is, I don't care if it's Pakistan, every government in my mind should have a central public bank that creates money sufficient for the people. And one of my observations is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. There's 17 goals and not one mention of money. It's remarkable. Not one mention of money.
Yeah,
and we talk
education
about,
and all that.
yeah, we talk about poverty and everything else. So thank you for reminding us that what we already know in our hearts, we learned as children, that we're hardwired to be compassionate, sharing. All the Abrahamic religions, as you said, even Aristotle forbid usury as a even John Maynard Keynes called usury a misdemeanor in 1930 when he wrote a letter of economic possibilities for our grandchildren. And he said, but wait, for another 100 years, we shall pretend to ourselves that usury is acceptable. I mean, the great economist called usury a misdemeanor. So any charging of interest is both unacceptable and unnecessary, as you're showing with Akhuwat. And we've shown too with our studies of different banks, like in Sweden, the interest-free yacht bank, which was approved by the Imam of Sweden to say, yes, we can create money without expectation. In other words, without charging interest, without an expectation of return on investment, except the well-being of my brother and sister. And I think, so thank you for inspiring us to say that's what this show's about. We're not stuck. We have this pause. The world economy is on a pause button. Countries are going to 0% interest, which means money is a public utility now.
Yeah.
Money's free, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's telling us as an economist. So,
Mark, one thing I would like to add, what is the outcome of this whole effort? Just not 99% recovery. That is one of the best, indicators of the success. But even better indicator of success is that all these people have started giving donations, voluntary donations, in the same pool of money which was created by the well-to-do people. These poor people are reciprocating that somebody helped us. Now, this is our responsibility that if we cross the poverty threshold because of this money, then we should, give back. So this is how we can build a society. This is how we can replace greed with love and giving back. Because when you charge 40% interest rate, that person, because of poverty, will not say anything, but in his heart, he feels exploited.
Mm-hmm.
Then he, you know, uh, extends that exploitation, then he shifts that exploitation to somebody else. So this is how a vicious cycle starts. If I exploit somebody, he will exploit
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, and he will exploit somebody else, and he will exploit somebody else. This is we call economic vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So we are creating an economic virtuous cycle that we are not exploiting somebody. So he will also not be exploiting. He will not take extra profit. He will not be involved in hoarding. He will not be. He will be doing, ethical business.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of a vicious economic vicious cycle, we are creating an economic, virtuous cycle. And this is how we are building society. This is how we are, bringing morals and ethics within the society. So this is how. So we now don't call Akhuwat just a means for economic for financial intermediation. We see, much wider canvas that we are trying now nurturing a better society, building a better society where everybody, once his basic needs are fulfilled, then he or she starts thinking for others. So this is
Absolutely.
the sharing. This is the true message of every religion, and every ethical system, every moral system demands that we can't be happy if our neighbor is not happy.
Absolutely.
So if 2
Absolutely.
billion people in this world are unhappy, then how come we, that is not the true message for humanity. So financial intermediation is one thing, but creating a better society and building a society and, creating that virtuous cycle, this is something, different. This was not originally intended, but this is the one of the most significant outcomes of this whole system, that the people who are helped, they feel that they have to, reciprocate. So this is another
Mm-hmm.
thing.
So I'm going to come in now. So according to you, and Mark agrees, I agree, it's very simple. There's nothing complicated about why do we have to make money from people who are poor, or even if not poor, why do we create this debt? And then, the society, it's like an ill of the society. You say it's very simple. If it's that simple, how come it's not taken over by, say, Pakistan government and it becomes the whole system, or any other government?
Yeah,
And
that's right.
please tell us the challenges you've faced, because I have seen Akhuwat. I've worked very closely with you as well for 3 years, and I know there are a lot of challenges that you face, especially if you say that your organization is based on, I've seen there's a philosophy, there are principles, and it's difficult to say because people then label, I understand people would say, oh, they have an agenda. So maybe you can share with us the challenges you faced?
Challenges are, first of all, we have no agenda. Our agenda is humanity.
Yes, yes,
Our
exactly.
agenda is, creating a better world. So if
Yes.
it is our agenda, then we are not shy of that, saying that. We are
Mm,
proud of that, that our,
yes.
ulterior motive is to serve the humanity,
Mm,
to, create a better world.
mm,
So that is how we are, we are not afraid of any such allegations. So number one. Number two, there are many, just 1 minute, first of all, when we, presented this idea, everybody was against this, that what kind of a system you are going to create. It will not be possible to raise money. It will not be possible to identify good people. It will not be possible to recover money. Then, then legal systems, then other systems. But, we were steadfast right from the beginning, and we believed that if this system is, is successful at individual level, we it is bound to be successful at the institutional level, provided we build proper systems and manuals and the procedures and the policies. So that, taking it to scale was a challenge. Getting good human resource was a challenge. Then getting, of course, the financial resources was initially a big challenge. And then we introduced another, model within this model, that we would like to utilize the religious places for this. So that brought many other challenges. So conventional microfinance said that 99% loan should be given to the women. So we said, no, women should be given priority, but everybody has the, whosoever would like to start a business has the, right. So the conventional wisdom said that women are only trustworthy, but we, introduced this model that anybody can access these things. So then, scaling was a big challenge. Then people said that this might be true in this city, this might not be true in that city. So taking it to a new city was a challenge. And then, of course, the opposition which we received from our, competitors, that was another kind of, challenge. And in fact, we didn't want to, confront any model. We said that if, you can charge 30%, and we don't like to charge 30%, and we were prepared to give at 0%. So according to the market principles, you can also do your business, we can also do our business. So whosoever would be accepted by the society, that will prevail. So there are many, you particularly know everything, that, what kind of challenges we had. But Alhamdulillah, the introduction of technology was also one of the biggest challenges. So we brought in the technology, and, those are very, unique ideas which gradually, came in. Then, this idea of inspiring the borrowers to become donors. So when we introduced this was a great success, that people said, oh yes, that is the great thing, that today I am a borrower, I'm a taker. So just by giving $1, can I become a donor? Can I become a giver? So can I, that will be my spiritual salvation. So that spiritual dimension was also introduced here, that people, you get strengthened, and, while you give, while you share. So there's the introduction of religious places, and this feeling that I am a donor. So all those things, it's a very fascinating story. I'm sure Mark has read your book. So there are, good examples of all this. But now we are facing another kind of a challenge, that how would our borrower perform now? Because this is extremely testing time. All the conventional microfinance providers are extremely worried, and they are thinking that they are getting support from the regulators just to, waive off some loan of some interest. And they think that by waiving interest, they will be facilitating the borrowers and ensuring that they will be able to give back the capital. So, they are coming to our model. They are waiving off the interest and just thinking about getting capital. So we are seeing it with great interest, that how our borrower, I am sure that our borrower, he may be, not able to pay installment for 1 month, but after a month, once the whole economic activity will restart, inshallah, then when he will start his business again, so he will be able, I'm sure will, definitely return the money as per his promise, because he doesn't see us as a, institution which doesn't belong to him. They identify themselves with the organization. They feel that they are part of the organization, and this is their organization. The financial inclusion is, not only the aim, but this organization is for them and is by them, is with them. So this is, I'm extremely excited that what would be the response of our people, and what new challenge will come in front of us.
Amjad, I have that's another beautiful reflection. We're having these conversations
Just
in
1
Canada.
minute. कहाँ पे? So I will, seek your permission to leave at 9 o'clock.
Oh yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes. So Mark, you can ask your question.
I was both question but comment on an operational level. What you're saying is, and we've studied these banks that don't charge interest. Well, how do you recover your operating costs? And you're saying it's through what's the word, Anika, and you're in Islam, and your expectation to give too. In the Christian churches, you're tithing, right? So I said to my Christian brothers and sisters, we could create what Akhuwat has in our church, right? We could create a pool of shared giving and help the person, the young mother who's moved from Syria or whatever. We can give her a bridge loan without expectation, without interest, right? We can set them up, and we've done that with a lot of Syrian refugees. But you're right now, what's interesting, and I come at a macro scale because people don't understand what Akhuwat's doing is using money that was already created by the banking system. The loans were created out of thin air by most of the money created in our society. 98% is created by banks when they issue loans in the first place. And governments sell bonds, but that's also a debt instrument, which the market purchased. So the whole world is in a way this debt money system. So I think what we're seeing now is the possibility, as I said earlier, that will it at last wake up to realize that we can create as the people. I mean, what if your prime minister said, wait a minute, Mr. Khan, you understand, that you could create enough liquidity for Pakistan right now, today, based on the assets of the nation, the skills and aspirations and dreams and compassion, all these other intangible assets, right now, because you're a sovereign nation. And if Mr. Khan says, no, I can't, I said, you have no excuse. You knew that you could, right? I'm sorry, Mr. Khan. I know you were a great cricket player, but now this is your time, right? Yeah. And I say that to Mr. Trudeau too. If Mr. Trudeau's never called me yet. I said, Mr. Trudeau, your father gave up the power of money creation in 1974 in a place called Basel, Switzerland, when they handed over the sovereign power of the Bank of Canada to the private banks. The Canadians go, what are you talking about? I said, I'll show you the legislation. I'll show you what happens that day, what happened after that. And so now we're back to a kind of World War II situation where what were they doing in World War II? The countries were creating enough money for the war effort. Magical, creating money in whatever volume they needed. So here we are in a global economic emergency where we have the same opportunity. And those are just the sort of the reflections. And I know we'll talk about that with other guests, but so important to, kind of come from the macro down to the micro level that you're dealing with, and show people that this money was a fiction in the first place. It was out of our imagination. And we're the ones responsible for creating this economy of love and compassion.
Bag, you mentioned of the Second World War. The World Bank was created, the United Nations were created after Second World War. And World Bank was initially called as IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And I'm sure this virus war is, Corona war is also not less than, World War. So we will have to create a new World Bank. And the name may be same, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, but different mindset, different, methodology, different strategy, different instruments, different products. If we don't want to have another, such kind of a great economic shock, then we will have to redefine our, financial systems, and we have to give a different kind of a mandate to IMF, to the World Bank, to the international, all financial institutions. We will have to, think with compassion. Market doesn't provide all the solutions. So poverty has its own dynamics, and the poor people should be treated nicely. They are not just, a means to achieve your own agenda. So they have their own dreams. They have their own, life. So we have to think very seriously that what kind of new institutional arrangements and what kind of a new system we will have to create that these billions of the people. I can't tell you the stories of what is happening in Pakistan. I gave a poor person just $3,000, which is around $150 dollars, so 3,000 rupees. So he said that he rang me once he reached home. He said, Dr. Saqib, I'm extremely grateful that you gave me 3,000 rupees. Do you know what did I buy with this? When I went to the grocery store, the first thing I bought from this money was some toffees for my daughter. Because he said that whenever I go home, I first give her toffees. And now I just wanted to tell him that I'm again, having something to give you, and this is the toffee. So that person didn't bought any, bread or other things. So he was so excited that he was able to meet the expectations of her little daughter. This is the situation which is happening, and I'm sure there may be many other reasons. There are political reasons why we are poor and why we are unable to build a society, a better society. But certainly, this is one of the most critical, reasons that we have put at, and this whole financial system is so, exclusive that it doesn't, allow the poor people to take benefit.
Thank you so much. I think this is the call for all of us. And I think this platform was created with exactly this thought that what can we create together now? And, with compassion, love, benevolence, and it's simple. We can. All of us can do that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mark, it's always, extremely inspiring to have friends like you who see on the same wavelength.
No. Any banker who speaks of compassion is my friend. So.
And take care and remain physically isolated, but not socially.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.